guys, it's Rashad from Read to Me, and I will be continuing Mr. Mackey's Wacky, and I'll be reading chapter 6 and 9. Chapter 6. It's hard to be president. The next day, Mr. Mackey popped his head in our class right after the morning announcements. Are you all getting excited about President's Day? He asked. Yeah, said all the girls. No, said all the boys. I have a question for you. What color is the White House? Mr. Mackey said. Everybody waved their hands around in the air. Even the dumbest dumbbell in the world knows the White House is white. That's why they call it the White House. Duh. But Mr. Mackey didn't call on any of us. Instead, he called on Miss Daisy, who was waving her hand like she was a kid. The White House is blue, right? Said Miss Daisy. I slapped my head. She doesn't know anything. The White House is white. Oh, I thought it was a trick question, said Miss Daisy. Miss Daisy is crazy. She's the dumbest teacher in the history of the world. To what do we owe the pleasure of your company, Mr. Mackey? Asked Miss Daisy. That's grown-up talk for what are you doing here? I thought I would tell the students a little bit about the presidents, I said, Mr. Mackey. It might help them decide which president to choose for their oral reports. Excellent idea, Miss Daisy said, as Mr. Mackey went running out of the room. Where did he go? Who knows, I said. He's weird. Mr. Mackey came right back in, but this time he was walking on his knees, and he had his shoes over his knees, so it looked like he was real tiny. I'm James Madison. I'm the fourth president and the shortest. I am 5 feet 4 inches tall, and I only weigh about 100 pounds. What a shrimp, Ryan said. Mr. Mackey excused himself and ran out of the room again. Then he came back with a cigar in each hand, a cigar in his mouth and a cigar and 2 cigars sticking out of his ears. Who are you now? Asked Cinderella. I am Elise S. Grant, Mr. Mackey said. I am the 18th president, and I smoke 20 cigars a day. That's disgusting, said Michael. Mr. Mackey ran out of the room again. He must have stuffed a bunch of pillows under his shirt, because when he came back in, he was really fat. Nobody can gain weight that fast. Who are you now? I am William Howard Taft, he said, the 27th president. I may weigh more than 300 pounds. I had a special bathtub built for me in the White House. You should go on Weight Watchers. I said, my mom lost 20 pounds that way. Mr. Mackey ran out of the room again. This time he was wearing a dress. Who are you now? I'm Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd president. My mother made me wear a dress until I was 5 years old. Your mother is weird, I said. Mr. Mackey ran out of the room again. When he came back, he wasn't wearing any clothes at all. He just had a towel wrapped around him. Who are you now? Asked Michael. I'm John Quincy, the 6th president. I like to go skinny dipping in the Potomac River near the White House. You are really weird, I said. Mr. Mackey kept running in and out of the room over and over again. Each time he came back, it was just like a different president. Jefferson, Reagan, Kennedy, Jackson. It went on and on. We learned a lot of important stuff about the president, like the one who grew the first tomatoes, Jefferson, and the one who was a member of the Beatles, Harrison. Most of them were weird. Did you know that Andrew Johnson, the 17th president, never went to school? It's true. He didn't even learn how to read until he was 17 years old. See? That just proves that any dumbhead can grow up to be a president. Finally, Mr. Mackey stopped running in and out of the classroom. He was panting and gasping out for breath. Being president is a very hard job, he said. Who is your favorite president, Mr. Mackey? Asked Andrea, who never misses a chance to round-nose a grown-up. Said Mr. Mackey, rubbing his chin where his fake beard used to be. That's a hard one. I think my favorite is Millard Fillmore. He was the 13th president. Millard Fillmore? Can you believe that? That guy's name was really Millard Fillmore. He must have been a great man. Anyone who become president, even though his name was Millard Fillmore, must have been a great man. I know if my name was Millard, kids will make fun of me all day. I'll have to move to Antarctica. You know what I like best about Millard Fillmore? Mr. Mackey asked us. His name. And then he started writing on the blackboard. Millard Fillmore. Fillard Millmore. More mill Fillard. Lard fill more mill. Mill fill more lard. Lard more fill mill. He went on and on like that until it was time for lunch. Mr. Mackey's Wacky. Chapter 7. I wish I had TV in my pajamas. We went to the vomitorium for lunch. I sat with Ryan and Michael. Andrea and her annoying friend Emily were at the next table. I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Michael had a ham sandwich. Ryan had a witch sand, which is a sandwich with the meat on the outside and the bread in the middle. Ryan invented the witch sand. He should get the Nobel Prize. Which president are you going to be for your oral report? I'm going to be James Garfield, Ryan said, because I like Garfield the cat. I'm going to be Herbert Hoover, said Michael, because he was named after a vacuum cleaner. I think a vacuum cleaner was named after him, I said. What about you, AJ? Asked Ryan. What president are you going to be? I don't know yet, I told the guys, but it would be cool to be a president for real. Nobody can tell him what to do. I'll bet the presidents can stay up late, even on school nights. I bet they can eat candy anytime they want, Ryan said, and he doesn't have to brush his teeth. I bet he doesn't have to even make his bed, or clean up his room, or feed his fish. I bet he can watch TV in his pajamas all day if he feels like it. The president has a TV in his pajamas? That's cool. I noticed Andrea and Emily kept giggling around and giggling. Girls are always giggling. Andrea and Emily were probably talking about girly stuff like smelly perfume and how many pairs of shoes they have. We boys talk about more important stuff, like whether or not the president has a TV in his pajamas. We ignored them. Our conversation was none of their beeswax anyway. Do you think Mr. Mackey was telling us the truth? That when he said Abraham Lincoln had to write on a shovel? I asked the guys. Lincoln should have used a computer. It's much easier to write on. But you can't use a computer to dig a hole, Michael pointed out. Well, you can't check your email on a shovel. You could check your email if you had a shovel with a built-in computer, I told them. The lunch lady, Miss LaGrange, told us that it's time to clean off our trays. Andrea and Emily walked by our table. Boys are dumbheads, Andrea said. Chapter 8, George Washington versus Abraham Lincoln. It was Friday before President's Day. We were putting our stuff into our cubbies. I heard Andrea tell Emily that she was nearly finished with her President's Day oral report. She picked John F. Kennedy as her president. I bet my report is going to be the best in the whole class, Andrea whispered to Emily. Whenever we have an assignment to do, Andrea is always the best in the class. Why does she have to be the best every single time? I hate her. After we pledged of allegiance, we had to go to the all-purpose room for an assembly. Mr. Klutz was up on stage. He's the principal of the school, and his head is completely bald. I mean completely. I wrote a poem about Mr. Klutz, and it goes like this. His head is bare, it looks like a pear. His hair is not there. Where's his hair? Maybe it's in his chair. Someone should share their hair. It's not fair, but I don't care. I wish I had chocolate eclair. Did you like my poem about Mr. Klutz's hair that he doesn't have? I tried to sound like Dr. Seuss. He was cool, even if he wasn't a real doctor. Anyways, being the principal is like being the president of elementary school. I guess every day President's Day is President's Day for Mr. Klutz. He told us he was getting excited about the big holiday on Monday. Are you going to buy a big screen TV, Mr. Klutz? Michael shouted. No, why? Because they go on sale on President's Day. My dad is going to buy one. Mr. Klutz told us he was more interested in presidents than big screen TVs. In honor of President's Day, Mr. Klutz announced, we're going to have you kids vote for the presidents of elementary school. Whoever gets the most votes will be presidents when we come back to school after the holiday. That's how democracy works. Any questions? Can we vote for any president we want? One of the third graders asked. There will be 2 candidates. I would like to introduce them to you now. Each president will make a short speech and then we'll vote, said Mr. Klutz. Mr. Macky and Miss Rupi walked up onto the stage just like Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. Everybody clapped. The presidents each took a bow. Miss Rupi spoke first. My name is George Washington, she said. I was the first and best president. I was the father of our country. I defeated the British in the Revolutionary War. Vote for me. Everybody clapped. Then Mr. Macky stepped up forward to give his speech. My name is Abraham Lincoln. I was the 16th president. I saved the Union. I freed the slaves. I wrote the Gettysburg Address. Vote for me. Everybody clapped. Okay, said Mr. Klutz. Do either of you gentlemen have anything to add? I would like to mention that the George Washington Bridge was named after me, said Mrs. Ruby. Well, the Lincoln Tunnel was named after me, said Mr. Mackey, and the Lincoln Logs, too. George Washington, Miss Ruby, laughed. They named some logs after you, she said. Big whoop. They put me on the dollar bill. Ooh. went all the kids. Oh yeah, I'm on the $5 bill, so I must be 5 times better than you. Ooh, went all the kids. Abraham Lincoln totally dished George Washington in his face. I could not tell a lie, said George Washington said. You're ugly. Ooh, went all the kids. Abraham Lincoln looked really mad. I thought the two of them were going to start fighting, but Mr. Klutz stepped in between them. Gentlemen, gentlemen, he said, there's no need to get nasty in here. Remember, Benjamin Franklin is on the $100 bill. Does that mean he's better than both of you? The two presidents looked at Mr. Klutz. Who asked you? Said Abraham Lincoln as he shoved Mr. Klutz out of the way. Woo! Went all the kids. The Washington Monument is way taller than the Lincoln Memorial, George Washington told Abraham Lincoln. You have wooden teeth, Abraham Lincoln told George Washington, and you probably wear that silly wig to hide your bald spot. Woo! Went all the kids. I refuse to fight, said George Washington. I'm a peace-loving man. Nobody loves peace more than I do, said Abraham Lincoln. Oh yeah? You want to fight over who loves peace the most? Woo! Went all the kids. Bring it on, old man, said Lincoln. I'll kick your butt. I couldn't believe Abraham Lincoln said but the next thing we knew, both presidents started fighting. George Washington put Abraham Lincoln in a headlock. Then Abraham Lincoln picked up George Washington over his head and started spinning him around. The two of them were fighting on the floor. It was cool. You should have been there. All the kids started cheering and yelling. It was like watching professional wrestling on a big screen TV. Break it up, shouted Mr. Klutz as he separated the two presidents. Calm down, both of you. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Go to my office. Wow, kids get sent to the principal's office all the time, but that was the first time I've ever seen a grown-up get sent there. Everybody calmed down. It was time to vote for president of elementary school. Miss Stacy and the other teachers passed out pieces of paper and pencils. We were told to write Washington or Lincoln on our paper. Whoever gets the most votes will be president of elementary school, announced Mr. Klutz. The majority rules. That's what democracy and fair elections are all about. George Washington and Abraham Lincoln were pretty cool guys. I couldn't make up my mind which one to vote for. That's when I got the greatest idea of the world. I decided I wasn't going to vote for either of those guys. I took my piece of paper and wrote this. I vote for Mr. Wiggles. I passed my paper over to Neil the new kid. Neil giggled and passed the paper over to Ryan. Ryan giggled and he passed my paper over to Michael. They passed my paper all the way around so the rows so the whole class saw it. I don't know what happened after that, but there was a lot of giggling in the all-purpose room. If everybody is finished voting, please pass your papers to the teacher so they can tally up the votes. We passed our papers to Miss Daisy, and she counted the votes. Miss Patty, the school secretary, came out with the calculator. Each teacher told Miss Patty how their class voted. Miss Patty added up the votes. It took 100 million minutes. Then she handed a piece of paper to Mr. Klutz. And the president of elementary school is Mr. Wiggles. All the kids started yelling and screaming and cheering. Neil, the new kid's pet ferret, was the new president of elementary school. Hooray for Mr. Wiggles! Hip hip hooray! Chapter 9. Happy President's Day. Monday is usually the worst day of the week because it means we have 5 days of school in a row, but not this week. It was President's Day. There's no school on Monday. Hooray! Now you're not going to believe this in a million hundred years. But do you know what I did on President's Day? Of course you don't, because I didn't tell you yet. Okay, I'm not going to tell you. Okay, I'll tell you. I spent my whole morning working on my President's Day oral report. See, I told you you wouldn't believe it. It's true. I did homework on a day we didn't even have school. I must have been out of my mind. I'll tell you why I did it. It's because I hate Andrea Young, and I'm sick and tired of her bragging about how smart she is and everything, and how her oral report is going to be the best in class. But I'm just as gifted and talented as she is, so I decided I'm going to make a better oral report than Andrea. I was going to make the best oral report in the history of the world. The oral report was going to blow the doors off Andrea's oral report, so na boo boo on her. I worked really hard. I looked in my library and got books about my president. I looked in the encyclopedia for my president. I went on the internet and got lots of fun facts about my president. My oral report was going to be great. Andrea won't even know what hit her. I wrote the whole thing and put it out in a nice red binder. I won't let anyone see it, not even my parents or my sister. I want it to be a complete surprise. It was top secret. I'm not even going to tell you who my president was. So na boo boo on you. I worked all morning on my oral report. Then the phone rang. My mom told me Michael wanted to talk to me. Me and my dad are buying a big screen TV. Want to come? Sure. Michael's dad drove us to the big screen TV store. They had a whole wall filled with big screen TVs. They're all tuned to the same channel. We were walking around looking for a salesman when this guy asked Michael's dad if he needed any help. You'll never in a million hundred years believe who the guy was. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you. Okay, I'll tell you. It was Mr. Macky. He was wearing the name tag that said Howard Macky on it. Mr. Macky, I said. To what? Oh, the pleasure of your company. I work here on the weekends and holidays. Would you like to buy a big screen TV? They're on sale today. Wow, I never thought a reading specialist could also be a big screen TV salesman. I thought reading specialists hated TV, but Mr. Mackey told us he loved TV and knew everything about big screen TV. Mr. Mackey took a Star Wars DVD out of his pocket so he could see what it looked like on a big screen TV. It was cool. You could almost see inside of Darth Vader's nostrils. Michael's dad bought the TV right away. It was so big that Mr. Mackey had to help us strap it to the roof of the car. I asked Mr. Mackey what his favorite part of Star Wars was, and then he told us that it was the beginning when all those words scroll up the screen. That's the only part you read, he said. As you know, I love to read. Mr. Mackey is weird, and he is much better selling TVs than he is at teaching reading.